Hello, malty, musty, Monday maltsters. I'm Ralphie. Welcome to the Bothy. Welcome to Ralphie Review 1006 Extras. And a big thank you to Dan Swank, 3378, for that malt mention. This is an extras, so it's not strictly a whisky review. 1006 was a whisky review. I reviewed this Glenmorangie, and I described it as a light whisky. I described it as a soft whisky. I also described it as a bland whisky. It says on the label that it's smooth and balanced. I confirm that definitely it's a smooth whisky, and yeah, with the limited range of flavour in it, it's a balanced whisky. Importantly, I'm giving an opinion. And I'm very much aware that people are guided by opinions, not just my opinion, but the opinion of other commentators online, the opinion of experts who write books and provide tasting notes, the opinion of the bottler who puts all the theatre and identity onto the label of the bottle. And people are influenced by other whisky drinkers around them. People are influenced by the narrative that goes on in whisky clubs. People are influenced by attending a whisky festival and tasting different whiskies and comparing and contrasting quite a considerable variety in a relatively short space of time. And most importantly, people are heavily influenced by visiting distilleries and getting the tour and then ending up, of course, in the distillery shop, where, having been, excuse the pun, immersed in the experience of the tour and been landscaped, right, in their focus, they become a much more willing customer that at times is paying more for their bottle of whiskey at the distillery than they're paying on online shops. This is not unusual. So we are influenced. And the reason for this video, this extras, is I want you to question the extent of other sources of narrative influencing you rather than you influencing yourself. We get swayed, we get persuaded, we get sidetracked onto other narratives like collecting and brand loyalty and flipping and what's going to be more valuable in the future, and should I just buy peated whiskey because in the future peated whiskies are going to be much more, less available because of environmental limitations. What's the best way to really get growing confidence as to your own palate? I would start by making sure you focus on your journey and keep notes. Keep a logbook. You don't have to use it forever, but certainly when you're getting started, write things down because it helps you kind of focus in your own mind. What suits your palate? What whiskies do you like? What spirits do you like that other people are suggesting perhaps you should be enjoying more, or well, you shouldn't really be liking these whiskies because they are bland, smooth, innocuous, chill filtered, they're loaded with caramel colorant. It's gaining self-confidence and allowing the influence of others around you, whether experts, commentators, friends, or well-intentioned family, or whatever. It's having a mechanism to filter out what is perhaps confusing you and is not particularly useful to you. Our palates vary considerably. Sure, we generally know what sweetness is. We genuinely have a point of reference for sour, for bitter, for salt, and for savoury. But you'll notice some people tend to go for snacks rather than sweets. Other people go for sweets but don't connect much with snacks. Snacks are savoury, they're salty, so there's two prominent sensations featuring there. Apart from that, they don't have a lot of flavour, generally, apart from added flavour, whether it be crisps or a style of roasting if they happen to be nuts. So they could be dry roasted nuts or just plain salted nuts. So you've got the mild nutty flavour, but it's dominated by saltiness. So that's the savoury side. And savoury snack people are not necessarily sweet-toothed, whereas some of us are definitely more sweet-toothed. We like toffees. We like chocolate. We don't really get much out of a packet of crisps. And for many people, will enjoy both sweet and savoury snacks. But then you've got people who, for whatever reason, it could be an emotional experience as a child, a bad experience relating to eating a massive big bar of chocolate and then throwing up and then hating chocolate for the rest of their life. And that does happen. Or you may have someone who loses teeth because they're chewing a toffee and suddenly their teeth come out because they're teething, they're losing their wisdom teeth or whatever, and they're suffering toothache. And therefore you get that negative association at a very fundamental and informative stage in our life, the early years. Or it could be that we were given a packet of crisps by a relative that we absolutely hated, and we were made to eat them out of politeness. And we hated that relative because they were just a horrible person, and therefore we have this constant subliminal association for the rest of our lives with horrible people and potato crisps. All our experiences are unique. Our connectivity with flavours, individual flavours, are unique. Whether it be lemon, we may be a big fan of lemon if we had someone we really loved dearly who made lemon sorbet or made lemon pancakes on holidays. So we have a very positive association with certain flavours and of course negative ones with others. So all this human psychology connecting with the most subliminal experience of smell and taste is going to dictate, whether we are aware of it or not, it's going to dictate the direction of where our palate takes us. And this most certainly impacts with whisky. When we start with whisky, we do not start with a bottle of cask strength Edredure out of sherry cask, because it's just simply too much. We'll start with a Glenfiddich. Or some people, of course, because there's always exceptions, will start with a cask strength Laphroaig because someone gave them a bottle or brought a bottle along to a party as a laugh. And the flavour is so utterly particular that it can't be confused or mistaken in any way for anything else ever, unless you happen to be licking the inside of chimneys, which we just don't do. So we have this ongoing self-narrative in our younger years as we get older, even before we approach whisky. We know what we like, we know what we don't like, both consciously and subconsciously. And then we arrive at whisky with its absolute confusing cavalcade of intense or soft flavours, or intense or really subdued sensations. And this is why for some folk, when they arrive at whisky, they can take a deep dive into their whisky passion with a bottle of Laphroaig, whilst others, it's much more measured, it's much softer, it's much gentler, and a bottle of Glenmorangie Classic is just ideal for that. It's as we simply gain more experience because of the internet. You're not getting this from books. You're not getting this from traditional experts anymore. They do a wonderful job in what they do, but it's the instant accessibility of this collective body of knowledge, opinion, experience, and perspective that we find online, which absolutely fast tracks and seriously speeds up our discovery process of smells and taste, where we will put our nose in a glass of whiskey and say, there's something in there and I don't know what it is. But never mind, some other day I'll pick up on it and I'll know then. Because we're constantly gaining experience. As part of our experience, we start to challenge over time, and it does take time, the negative connectivity of certain smells and tastes from our childhood. And with other certain brands, we discover certain smells and tastes. Laphroaig's a good example. Sherry, smoke, richness, rich puddings. If you live in a cold country in particular, it's the taste of winter time. It's the taste of warmth and firesides. That's what you get out of a good Lagavulin. Whereas in a Linkwood, you'll get the taste of summertime. You'll get fields in sunshine and barley. You'll get fresh orchard fruits. You'll get gentle, warm breeze type experience. Both objective feedback from the glass of whiskey and subjective. And the more we practice, the more we persevere, and there's no rush in this. The slower we go, in fact, the further we get, because our palate needs time to gradually recalibrate and make sense and rationalise the smells and the taste of this incredibly concentrated, at times over-concentrated experience that you only get from alcohol, particularly high-strength alcohol. The higher the strength of alcohol in the bottle of whiskey, the more flavour's gotten locked up within the alcohol. It's the way it works. It's remarkable how over time you notice the accuracy of our archive. That because we've taken our time, that we've worked from the known towards the unknown, which has then become known. It's fascinating how we just get this incredible awareness. We build up our own personal expertise. That's what it is. And I conclude this video by saying that it's our journey, and experts can be useful, onliners, commentators, and whisky clubs and whisky festivals are all very useful. But ultimately, we all have to take responsibility for our own journey and assess and rate what we buy entirely on our own narrative, our own connectivity. It's our personal experience, and there comes a point where experts can't help you. I can't help you. That's not my job. It's your job. Just keep things slow and steady and develop your own palate in your own way that dovetails in and is harmonious with the singularity of the individual that you are. And while you're at it, be careful what you buy, don't spend too much money, and avoid making too many bad purchasing decisions. And this is why often the most useful connectivity we can have with whisky clubs is not necessarily agreeing with the people around us as to what's the best whisky, but actually having the access to the wider conversation, an opportunity to taste and try before we buy, that brings far greater value to the money we put out for the experiences that we're investing in. And there you have it. Quite a timely message for this time of year, because for people starting out in whisky in particular, it often happens in Christmas, New Year, particularly New Year, because that's the first taste. is around about that time. Whiskey tends to be a winter drink, particularly when it's drunk neat. And at this point, we can be over-influenced by other people around us if we lose control of our own internal narrative. We've got to keep possession of this, keep control of it, and make the journey ours and ours alone. That's not being selfish, it's just being sensible. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you soon for another review. Bye-bye.